Welcome back to the Pivot Podcast Show. I'm Tatiana Hodges.
And I'm David Rich.
And this is where we explore mindset, movement, and meaning, and the choices that shape the lives we build.
Yeah, today we're stepping into a conversation that lives in the shadows of a lot of our stories, and that is the Black excellence trap when being twice as good costs you everything. Now, this is a conversation many of us have lived through, but rarely say out loud.
I agree. And so let me ask you this question. Is the pressure to be twice as good a source of our success or the root of our exhaustion?
How about that? It could be the source of our success and also the root of our exhaustion. I'll give you a case in point. Now, there comes a moment in your life when this idea of being twice as good becomes your identity. How you show up, how you speak, how you work, and then you start asking yourself, for what? So let me talk a little bit about what was happening early in my career. I believed that if I worked long hours, delivered more results, and outperformed everyone around me, I would finally get what I earned. The promotion, the recognition, the raise. But here's what happened. As I talked about earlier with that network failure, I had to work really, really hard. And I had zero training on that application service. I had to sit in the laboratory and figure it out on my own. And as a result of doing that, I gained the knowledge that was necessary so that when that network started to fail, they had no one else to go to but me. They didn't know what to do with it because it was a vendor dedicated or a vendor had donated that system to work in the production environment. So I said buzzwords. I'm sharing with you. Forgive me for that. But in the general environment where the customers live. Mm-hmm. And so when it started to fail and nobody could figure out what was going on, they looked at me because I had sat in the laboratory on that device and trained myself on how to manage and administer that device and how to test that device. So when push came to shove and it was having this issue, they dispatched me to all three locations, Texas, Chicago, and Reston, Virginia. Whoa. And it was on me to figure out what was going on. So when I went to Chicago, for example, I did an analysis of the system. I sat there for about a week. And I figured out that the problem was resource depletion. And I'm not going to get into the technology there, but it wasn't as easy to figure out because the problem was intermittent. It would happen and the network would fail and then it would come back online and everything would be good. So I literally had to figure out when it was failing and then capture it at that point so I could find out why it was failing. And it took a lot of time and energy to do that over the extended time frame. Mm-hmm. So that was exhausting.
It sounds exhausting.
It was. But because I did that, it allowed me to figure out what was going on, and I was successful at pinpointing the problem and then taking that result to other locations so that I was able to fix all three locations in that network infrastructure. And at the time that I did this for this particular company, this network infrastructure was about 25% of the company revenue. 25%.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And when I first got assigned to it, I had to meet with the VP of engineering, and he tasked me with my manager to get this done. And my manager says, if you figure this out, man, my hat's off to you. So I thought, well, wow, if I could get this done, this is going to be a big deal for my career. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not exactly what happened. Oh. I successfully did everything that I said I was going to do. They were very happy it happened. And as a matter of fact, I replaced the machines in the network because they were running out of steam, which was ultimately the problem. And as a result of that, they decided to implement that device in other applications in the company. So now I've become the so-called guru of that device in all what we call operation support systems in the company.
Oh, my goodness.
It was exhausting. It was successful. But once again, it was one of those being twice as good issues that you didn't get credit for.
Mm. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. That just hit a nerve right there for me, right? And I just gotta say this. For me, it was It was the everyday labor, the invisible labor that people just didn't see. Working as a real estate agent, the emotional tax and the code switching, being the fixer, being the one person that people go to when they need calm, clarity, or culture. And you're doing your real job, plus the unpaid job and the unseen job in this industry that most people just aren't aware of.
Can you say more about that?
Definitely. So as as a real estate agent, I have 8 years experience, work with many clients in the industry, and you're always going to get a different perspective from different clients you work with. Some may think that you're overworking, and they respect your hard work, and some think that you're overworking when behind the scenes you're going crazy to make sure this is a smooth deal for you and your clients. And so I've noticed that with certain clients, when it comes down to the respect factor, the ones who don't see the work, right, that you're putting in, some of them also don't think you're deserving of the commission that you earn at the closing table. And this is not just my experience. My mother's also a real estate agent. She's experienced this as well. And so when it's time to close on the home that, your agent put so much work into, right, to help you, reach that goal of home ownership, there are certain clients, again, who will look at your commission because they see it on the document. They see it on the closing disclosure, sure, right? And so there are those clients who will look at you at settlement like, oh, I can't believe she's making 3% from this deal. Why can't you believe that?
You think maybe they're not understanding the value that you bring?
Maybe. I don't think, I want to say that's probably what it is to some clients. They don't really understand the value that's being brought to them because they just don't see it. Okay, like they don't see what's going on behind the scenes. I do want to say with that, it's really important that you go through what is actually going to be happening behind the scenes and maybe even have a conversation or set up separate meetings while you're under contract with your client.
Okay.
So they understand what's going on in the process. They understand what you're doing and all the parts that you have to piece together.
Yeah, I've read somewhere that people don't believe things that they hear as much as they believe things that they see. So if you write down the value proposition and they can look at it, they have more belief as to what that value really is.
I agree with you.
So basically what you're saying is you become the glue that holds everything together, but the glue never gets celebrated.
There you go. There you go. And so, let's define it. The Black excellence trap is when exceptional effort is no longer about growth, but the bare minimum required just to be seen as competent.
Yeah, so excellence becomes survival in that case. Not advancement, not recognition, just survival. So if we look at a pivot point here, because the grind is not the goal, sustainability is under these circumstances.
Yep, I agree. And protecting your peace requires a whole new mindset.
And so if you have a business strategy and it's based on overperforming, understand overperforming can be a terrible long-term career strategy. It basically trains people to expect more from you for less compensation, and it destroys often your negotiation power. When you do the work of 3 people, your employer stops seeing it as exceptional because it becomes normal, and normal does not get raises. Value comes from outcomes, not effort. Revenue you impact is an outcome. Efficiency you create is an outcome. Risk you reduce is an outcome. Customers you influence is an outcome. That is value, not labor.
And could you just give us a little bit more on that right there that you just said?
Well, if you're spending all your time being overly efficient, for example, as an engineer, and I want to dot all the I's and cross all the T's and make sure that I've done exceptional work, it's not going to translate necessarily into a value proposition from a management perspective, because management is looking for bottom line accomplishments. And the closer you are to the money, the better position you are for that value to be realized. It's one of the reasons why salespeople tend to make so much money oftentimes in certain industries. Those who are good at sales, that is. A lot of people do sales and not necessarily good at sales. But those that are good at sales, they're close to the money and they tend to really benefit as a result of that.
Absolutely. And, boundaries matter. They protect your capacity. Saying no does not make you difficult. It makes you sustainable. And when you say yes to everything, you stop being a team player and become the team's unpaid therapist. Protect your time, protect your energy, and protect your goals.
I agree with that. So let's have a real talk moment here. Let's be honest. Overfunctioning builds resentment, real resentment. So if you're overfunctioning in your position and you don't get recognition for all that overfunctioning that you're doing, you start to see resentment in your day-to-day activity.
Oh, yes, you do. At your employer, at your peers, sometimes even at your own community. The pressure to be perfect is extremely heavy.
And you have a right, and you have the right to put that weight down. So if it's weighing you down or it's causing you grief, put it down.
Yeah. Do not think that you have to always overperform day in and day out. What happens as a human being if you overperform and you're mentally drained, you're physically exhausted? What can that lead to? Health problems, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And that's the domino effect of your downfall.
Mm-hmm.
I know people in this industry who don't know how to just have a seat and relax. Maybe take a week off, a month off, whatever it might be. Just relax and make sure you're taking care of your mental states, your health. I mean, it's not a game. There are agents, unfortunately, that I heard of who have had strokes in this business just because they're not getting that rest they need. You
think it's also tied to clients not valuing all that they're doing as well?
Oh, definitely. It's all tied in. I personally only want to work with clients who truly do value me. Receiving credit is something that we should automatically earn, because we work hard and exhaustion comes with that. Losing sleep comes with that. You know what I'm saying? And so when you don't receive that credit, it really hits a point where you feel like you're just not good enough. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're missing something when in fact you're not. And I just wanted to chime in on that when it comes to me and when what I do in my career as a real estate agent. Not everyone sees your hard work and your effort, and they believe that you possibly don't deserve the credit for what we truly do. And I've noticed I haven't had too many experiences on this, but there were a couple in my 8 years of being an agent that just, there are some clients that truly don't see what goes on behind the scenes. The negotiation, the working with title, working with the lender, trying to make your transition into home ownership as smooth as possible. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, there are certain clients that just don't think that you deserve the commission credit that you've worked so hard for. The time that you had to skip your son's basketball, game or your daughter's recital or something like that because you were working for that specific client. And we don't tell them all of our personal things that happen in our lives because we don't want that client to think, oh, well, they're just too busy for me. I'm going to choose someone else. We are human, and on top of us being human, raising families, doing things like that in our lives, we're still making sure that you get the best experience.
Well, let me ask you, and this may be a loaded question, so don't beat me up.
Oh, man, I might have to fight you.
So, is there a personality trait that you identify in interacting with customers that can give you a clue as to how difficult or not difficult the customer is going to be for you?
Honestly, no. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say there's a certain personality trait that I'm aware of or that I can identify off the bat. But in some cases, I think I have picked up on it. But I just say this, right? I can't change who I am. I'm hoping that you do see the value because I am particular during my consultations. I do tell my clients what's going to happen behind the scenes so that they're not just caught off guard or just think that there's nothing going on when in fact there's so many moving parts. And I really do hope that client has the trust in me to understand that I'm going to put the work in, and hopefully they do appreciate that work that's being put in. And I do want to leave with this, right, on this certain point, that not everyone will see your hard work. And you also can't please everyone.
Right.
You can't please everyone in this industry, in your career, anything you do. I mean, someone's going to always feel like you're not doing enough. And that hurts.
Right.
But we just have to take it as is and move on, understanding that you have done the work, understanding that you do deserve the credit. Even if they're not giving you the credit that you know you deserve, reward yourself because you know what you did behind the scenes to make this work.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if a potential client is asking questions as you're presenting the value proposition, that's a good clue as to what type of client you're dealing with.
Oh, absolutely. They're in tune with it. They understand it. They're in tune. They see it, right? Now, when they're actually involved in the process, some people forget. And again, that's why I say it's good to have those meetings, right? Talking to your clients in between the process, maybe setting it up and say, hey, we're at this stage right now, and this is what we're working on. That wouldn't hurt. I feel like at that point, they'll truly see, okay, we're in underwriting. This is what I can expect, right? I have my approval. What's next? Your home inspection. This is what this will look like. Up next, your new home orientation. This is what this will look like. Your pre-construction meeting. This is what that will look like, right? So having those touches to show them what's going to happen and how it will happen is showing them value.
And there's so many pivot points in what you just said, right? Because initially, the client's going to be pivoting from where they are to where they want to be.
Yeah.
Right, and that process, as a real estate professional like you are, in the African American community where we live, our space, there may be some disconnects between the value that we bring versus the perceived value that our clients have of our activity.
Yes.
And that's unfortunate.
It is.
But it happens all the time. So you do, not only are you in the commercial environment where black excellence means you're working twice as hard to get in the door in the general society, you actually have to show up that way in your own community as well. Not just over there.
Right.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And that's what's exhausting.
Yes. It is.
So, with that being said, none of that is an excuse. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't strive for excellence. Yeah. Because we should.
Yeah.
But I am saying that, we have to give ourselves a pass somewhat when we're exhausted as a result of having to strive for that excellence. That's where you have to shift that mindset, make that pivot point, and have the mindset that, as I always say, mindset is the baseline that feeds the intention to take action. So that mindset being the baseline, you have to have some opportunities to take a deep breath and not work yourself into a frenzy all the time. Now, if you're having sprints,
right,
that's one thing. But if you're doing it all the time, you're going to burn out.
You are going to burn out. You are going to burn out. And what happens when you burn out? You talked about that domino effect, right? When you burn out, you have no time for yourself. You have no time for your family, your kids who need you. You have no time for anything. And you have the health, possibly develop health problems because you're overworking and you're always burnt out.
A lot of people don't make that connection between your stress and your health. And one of the biggest impacts to your health is your level of stress.
Yes.
And that has to be considered in whatever you're doing. There's so many stories of particularly guys who make $1 billion who have no life and are extremely unhappy. Now, what good is it having $1 billion?
Oh, man.
And so you can buy anything you want, but you are completely and thoroughly unhappy.
Unhappy.
And your health is going down the drain, making you even more unhappy. So, but that's not necessarily the black experience that we're talking about. We're just saying in general. That work ethic can stress you out, which can lead to health consequences.
Yeah, it takes a toll on your mind, body, spirit, everything. So you just got to be cautious with how much energy and effort you're putting into certain things and know when it's necessary to pull back regardless of the facts. Regardless, I think that there should be a time in a real estate agent's career, maybe every year you just take off for a week. You say, hey, I'm taking off. I got my vacation. And, there's agents who do this, but I'm saying delegate these tasks. Take the time off. If you find yourself always being involved, overworking, you're eventually going to, I hate to say it, but you're going to eventually hate what you're doing.
Sure.
you're going to hate what you're doing. You're no longer going to have that passion and that drive. And guess who's going to feel that first? Your clients.
Mm-hmm. That's right. They're going to feel it, and that's going to have an impact in relationship with them as you try to service their needs in this real estate market.
Absolutely.
Just on the mindset thing, just to go back to that and that experience I told you about when I did the lab experiment, and I was able to fix the network, and the other guy got the award for it, even though he didn't do anything. He did some testing. He didn't know what he was doing. He gets the award. So then I had to manage my mindset. Okay, so just taking it back to the mindset.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. People, you have to know that mindset matters. And once you understand mindset matters, then you got to manage that mindset. And so since I knew it mattered, I had to shift and pivot my mindset away from how great I thought I did to, managing what they did as a result of not acknowledging my contribution there. Now, I could have got so frustrated and angry that I just scaled back my activity. My mindset said, no, I'm going to go even further and be even better and look for more opportunities and gather more knowledge. And that's effectively what happened, and it kept elevating me in my career. But it was because of my mindset that allowed me to punch through that spiritual impact because I put so much into that project. To not be the one who received the accolade was a blow spiritually.
Oh, my goodness.
But when you're able to manage your mindset, you can get through that.
You can get through
whatever.
Oh, yeah. That's a real mindset shift right there. Because I think a lot of people would have looked at that and said, oh, I didn't get my credit. I did all of this. Oh, yeah, forget this. Forget y'all. I'm out. I'm doing, right. Yeah. And so what that did for you was made you stronger. It made you, it just puts you in that mindset where you said, I'm going to do more. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, people are thinking the opposite, So having that mindset management was key at that point in your life, which caused you to make that pivot to get better.
Yeah, I think there's a chapter in my book, not the one that I sent you, but the one that's online, called Embrace the Struggle. And what I mean by that is, when we're infants, we struggle to sit up, and then we sit up. And then we struggle to walk, and then we walk. And then we struggle to learn, and then we learn. So at every phase of the human experience, there's difficulty that we overcome to become more and stronger and better. And that's what I meant by embracing the struggle. Instead of being, trying to run away from difficulty, embrace it. It's like lifting weights, as a personal trainer. You start off with a low weight. I remember years ago when I first started lifting weights, I tried to put 245 plates on the bar.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
And I struggled. I told my dad, who was a weightlifter from way back, I said, Dad, I can't even lift 245 plates in a 35-pound bar. He said, don't worry about it. Keep doing it.
Eventually you will.
And then I went from 2 plates to 4 plates to almost 6 plates on that 35-pound bar.
There you go.
That's part of what I meant by embracing the struggle.
Embrace it.
It's like the human body is one of the only instruments on the planet that often, when you work it and feed it properly, it gets stronger. Or your mind, the more you give information to it, the more you study, it gets more intelligent and more powerful.
Yep.
That's all about embracing the struggle. And that is a mindset shift.
I agree with you. That's a perfect example. All right. All right, y'all. And so this is a listener challenge here, right? Choose one area in your life where you will stop overperforming.
And then write down one boundary you will set this week. That's going to be your pivot point.
Yes, it will be.
So in closing, you can follow us at the Pivot Podcast Show on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
And also, don't forget to share this episode with someone who needs this conversation. We will see you on the next episode.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up here at the Pivot Podcast Show.
Talk soon.
Bye now.